How does Freddy Krueger spend his Halloween? With the lady from Law Order SVU, apparently.
Trick or treat!
Hi everyone, Tony from Hack the Movies here, and today we're talking about the 4th episode of Freddy's Nightmares, which is actually the second of 8 Freddy-centric episodes that ran during the show. It's also my second Freddy's Nightmares video, so that's fun. Freddy's Nightmares was a show I brought up a lot when we were reviewing the Nightmare on Elm Street films on my podcast. If you're new here, I do a weekly podcast, sometimes twice a week, where we talk about movies new and old. In my review for the first Elm Street movie, I mentioned a bunch of celebrities that got their start on the show, including Mariska Hargitay. You've got early appearances from Brad Pitt and Mariska Hargitay and a bunch of other big celebrities.
Is Robert Englund in it? Or?
Yeah, he's the host.
Brad Pitt almost had Johnny Depp's role in this.
Oh, really? That's funny.
He tried out for it, yeah.
Apologies for butchering her name in that clip. A lot of you probably know Mariska Hargitay as Agent Olivia Benson on Law Order SVU. Others might remember her as that home wrecker who was sleeping with Bridget Fonda's boyfriend in Lake Placid. And her friend slash coworker comes in and it's Mariska Hargitay?
I forget her name.
Law and Order lady.
Yeah.
It's the Law and Order lady. And I literally sat there and went, is that Law and Order lady?
And then the close up and we're like, yeah.
So she's like, so-and-so broke up with me. She's like, oh yeah, I know. And she's like, how? Like, I had insider information.
Yeah, she had insider information.
She managed to make it out of that film without having to come face to face with that crocodile. But will she be able to escape Freddy? Let's find out. In this episode, titled Freddy's Tricks and Treats, she plays Marcia, a total nerd who would rather study than party. She's so hardcore about med school, she's got a skeleton in her dorm. Who has a skeleton just hanging around? Surprise! Jason! He must have gotten lost on Elm Street, and that's why he never made it into a single episode of his own show. Just kidding, it's her boyfriend Mark, and he can't get her to go to the party that's happening downstairs. He even gives her a silver shamrock mask to get into the spirit. She finally relents and goes downstairs, and there she runs into Cameron Thor, who played Dodson from Jurassic Park. If you're wondering why he didn't return to play that character in Jurassic World Dominion, let's just say if he was on SVU, he wouldn't be the SV. He plays Gary, and him and his friend Zach are talking about videotaping dreams. This is important for later. Freddy's Nightmares episodes are usually split in half. One story will always lead into another, and sometimes they'll introduce characters from the second story early in the first story. Marcia goes to work on cadavers, and since she's from Detroit, she doesn't know about Freddy Krueger. This friendly security guard informs her. Freddy carves a message into the cadaver, which scares her away, and Freddy reveals himself to the audience.
Must have been something I said. Right.
Oh, he's going to have a fun Halloween. She brings the security guard back to investigate, but the corpse is fine. Fine enough to poke. Buddy, put gloves on. He left without washing his hands. He totally left without washing his hands. Marcia washes her hands and gets a flashback to her grandmother scrubbing her hands because of filthy boys. This causes Marcia to hallucinate her grandmother as Freddy.
What big eyes you have.
Mark shows up and tries to calm her down. Then he goes to investigate a sound, and she hallucinates herself wearing a pumpkin mask. No, you're going to want to take that mask off. Bad things happen when you put that mask on. Trust me, I know.
And Tony's dead.
Mark pranks her with a skeleton dressed as Freddy, and then it actually becomes Freddy. This might shock you to find out, but this was all a dream. The real Mark is nice and just wants to hang out. He brings her to her old house, and at first I was confused because she was from Detroit, but the glowing mask kind of clues you in that this is also a dream. We get a flashback to her grandmother catching her with a boy and giving her hell. She confesses that she hates that she had to raise Marcia, and Marcia finally fights back and defends herself, and of course the old broad croaks. So it turns out she went to med school because she felt guilty that she couldn't save her grandmother, who she hated. Freddy attacks.
You should always respect your elders.
She gets away and runs into Mark, who then disappears. The whole neighborhood finds her having a mental breakdown, and it turns out Mark never existed. I mean, I caught on, but I'm glad the show spells it out for us.
Look at her. There never was any Mark. He's just a part of her mind.
Then Freddy does some Shakespeare.
Alas, poor Marcia.
That was story 1. Story 2 also features Marcia, but now Zach and Gary sort of take the lead. It turns out even though Marcia was repulsed by the idea of them videotaping her dreams, she decided to go along with their experiment. Now, Mariska Hargitay is a very nice-looking lady now, and I always thought she looked good on early episodes of SVU. I don't think I've seen late 80s Mariska Hargitay before this episode, and yeah, what a total smoke show. I like how the guys watching her on a monitor makes them sort of appear in her dreams. Also, why is she dreaming about stripping in front of a window? I'm not complaining, I just don't understand. All her other dreams are about a crazy grandmother. Why is she suddenly stripping? Zach is frustrated because she's not dreaming enough to get a good signal. They need her to dream gooder. But she can't, because if she does, good old Freddy will get her. Zach convinces her to give in to her dreams. They put her back into the machine, and Freddy attacks with a TV cord, and the cord literally has little knife hands on it, and I thought that was the most adorable thing in the world. She tells them Freddy is after her, so Zach brings her to the power plant where Freddy's boiler room was. He sets up some tricks for her, including a Freddy shadow, which is clearly just a guy swaying back and forth in front of a light. I know the scene after this, they show it's like a hat on a stick with a swinging light bulb, but you know how they shot the effect was just a guy in a hat going like this. And now I can't stop picturing it every time I see this scene. I have to act it out.
Zach, this isn't gonna work.
Marcia finds the little girl and tries to free her before Freddy shows up. This might shock you, but this was all a dream. Zach loses the signal just as her dream gets intense. He wakes her up and promises to go back into her dream with her. They plan to really push her to get the best image possible. His superior shuts down the project due to fear of Marcia's safety. Marcia wants to keep going with the dream therapy. Also, she loves Zach now. I'm not sure when that happened, but that's a thing now. She goes back into the dream to save the little girl. Freddy attacks her, but it's actually Zach in real life choking her to make sure she dreams more gooder. Unfortunately, Marcia pulls him into the dream and Freddy gets him. Despite Freddy saying 2 for 1, Marcia actually gets to escape the dream and live.
It's your nightmare now.
Meanwhile, Zach gets vomited out of a VCR. Well, this was an interesting episode. We now know what Freddy does on Halloween, and it's basically what he always does, just messes with people's dreams, apparently. But it was really cool to see the sleep study part of this. I mean, there was a little bit of that in the first and third movies with them doctors and whatnot trying to analyze dreams. I like the idea of being able to videotape and actually see the dreams. That would have been a cool idea to explore in the mainline films at some point, but I don't think they ever did. I actually enjoy this episode. Again, the whole love interest between her and Zach at the end is bizarre. I don't think we needed the invisible Mark friend, really. But yeah, it was just a fun little time. And again, you get young Mariska Hargitay and the guy from Jurassic Park who went to jail. What did you think about this episode? Are you excited for the other Freddy-centric episodes of Freddy's Nightmares? Let me know. Please check out my podcast. Like I said earlier, we go once or twice a week. Sometimes the episodes are live. We have a huge back catalog, including episodes for pretty much every Nightmare on Elm Street movie, including a compilation video, which is all my episodes stitched together. So you can watch 10 hours of me and my friends talking about Freddy Krueger. What a great time that is. But yes, I think you'll really like Hack the Movies, so subscribe here, and if you really like our stuff, subscribe to Patreon. We have some really cool bonus videos and commentary tracks, including 2 for Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And yes, if you're more of an audio listener, the audio version of our show is available on all the big podcast platforms. So you can have Hack the Movies anytime, anywhere. That's it for me. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our other videos and Patreon page.